Hello, welcome. Thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you for joining me for the Taking Back Friday live stream. My name is Felicia from SweetGeorgia and also the School of SweetGeorgia, and we come here every month on the second Friday of every month to just catch up about all the things that have been happening in and around SweetGeorgia and also the School of SweetGeorgia. I'm so glad that you're here today. Thanks for joining me. I can see you guys on the chat. Thank you so much. Let me know if you can hear me okay, if you can see me okay. My microphone is different from last time, so let me know if the setup is okay. Fantastic. Hello, nice to see you all. Wonderful. So it is great to be back here in the studio. You can see there's a huge mess behind me here. And I'll talk a little bit about the mess a little bit later. But yeah, lots and lots of things going on. The very first thing that I do want to mention is we are here in Vancouver. SweetGeorgia is a hand-dyed yarn company based in Vancouver in Canada. And usually every year, but now it's become every other year, there's a very, very special event that happens in Vancouver, and it's called Knit City. And so it is our big yarn festival that happens in Vancouver. And we're very, very excited. We have always sponsored Knit City from the very beginning, from the very first year. And this year we are again going to be sponsoring Knit City in Vancouver. We're sponsoring the big lounge that happens. It's called a knitting lounge, but it's become sort of a multi-craftual lounge. And so over the past couple of years, what we do in the lounge is we bring lots of different fiber arts tools and equipment for everybody to kind of see and try. You can, look at a weaving loom and try it out for the first time. We bring spinning wheels. You can try those out. We bring e-spinners. We bring drop spindles. We bring carding equipment and fiber prep tools and all sorts of things like that. And this year, we are also going to be bringing my circular sock knitting machine, which is right here behind me right now, my circular sock knitting machine, the Erlbacher Speedster. I'm going to bring that. And we're also going to bring some flatbed knitting machines, including the LK150 from Silver Reed. It is the machine that we are going to be making a whole bunch of machine knitting courses on with Barb Barone from Yarniversity. And that LK150, those classes are going to be coming out soon. And so we're going to have some of these machines to demonstrate on at Knit City as well. So if you have ever been curious about any of these crafts and you are in the Vancouver area near the end of September, I do encourage you guys to come and check that out. Now, let me see if I can show you. Yes, there's the website for Knit Social. It's knitsocial.ca. And so Knit Social started many, many years ago with one event here in Vancouver. And now over the years, they've also started events in Toronto, Calgary, Montreal, and they do regular retreats throughout the year. But this is all of the information about Knit City. I do encourage you guys to check this out if you are interested in coming to visit us in Vancouver. And, it is going to be our 20th anniversary as well in September, SweetGeorgia's 20th anniversary. And so we'll have some things to celebrate that as well. So really, really looking forward to this fall. It is going to be fantastic. Yes. Now, what else did I want to share with you guys today? Now, I wanted to share with you what is happening behind me right now. So you can see behind me, I have everything set up because we are filming a course about circular sock knitting machines. It's going to be a course about knitting simple socks on a circular sock machine. So this is our first CSM class that we've ever put together for the School of SweetGeorgia. It's something that people have been asking about for a number of years now. Like since I started with this machine, I've been making tutorials and showing little projects here and there and stuff like that. But I think people were asking for a class from going from the very beginning. How do you figure out your tension? How do you crank? How do you cast on? Like all of the things. And so we're finally making this course right now. So it's very, very exciting. We have scheduled 3 days of filming, but I feel like it's going to be more because I'm going to film a little bit this afternoon as well. I'm going to film on Monday, going to film on Tuesday. And we already filmed this past Monday on basically like the hottest day in Vancouver already. It was super hot. We were roasting by the end of it. Like our faces were like puffy and red. It was really, really hot in here. And that's something that always happens when we're trying to film classes that are going to come out in the fall. We're filming them in the summer, or usually 6 months ahead of time. And when I filmed the double weave class, I think I was wearing an alpaca sweater, and it was like July, and it was so hot, and we can't have the air conditioning on because the air conditioning makes sound. And so it's it's a thing that we have to go through. It's a thing. But yes, we are doing this CSM class right now. And yeah, I hope that we're going to capture some good angles, top down and then sort of over the shoulder angle. And then I'm going to talk a lot about it and stuff like that. So I'm very excited. This is so far one of the socks that has been cranked as part of the class. And also we made a bonnet, a sock bonnet, using sort of like the recipe for how I'm making all of my sock bonnets now. These are inspired by people that I learned from as well. So they are great. But I want to share with you this new storage acquisition that I made. And that is, this is just one part of it, but this is like from this mega tower thing. Basically, this toolbox that sorts out all of your stuff goes on top of additional toolboxes. You can see there's one here, and then there's a one giant one at the bottom, and then it has a handle so you can roll it. You can basically snap all of these things together and then roll it around. And so the whole plan, I learned this from another CSM teacher, Jamie Mayfield. You'll find her on Facebook groups all over about CSM. Jamie is the one who has created the TrueKnit machine. And so I have been doing some research into how do you get your machine and all of your stuff to CSM events, to cranking events. And so this came up as one of the cool things that you could do. So this toolbox holds all of my stuff, and I have it all sorted into like needles and waste yarn and sock bonnets and weights, and everything is in here. So this is very handy. These things clip onto the next box, so you can make a big stacking tower of boxes. You can hold it like a suitcase if you need to. So I'm surprisingly excited about that. But that's basically what I'm going to transport the machine to Knit City in, is this thing. Yes. Can you explain what a sock bonnet is? Yes, a sock bonnet is something that you take, and you take all of the, you basically hang this on all of the needles or every other needle on your cylinder. And this is what helps you start casting on new stitches onto your machine, because your machine has all these needles laid out on a metal cylinder, and you can't just like put yarn in it and just magically have stitches form. You have to cast on. And so this is one of the tools or devices that they use to help cast on new stitches. There's lots of different ways that you can cast on. There's lots of different tools that people have used in the past. You can even use, that like mesh that you get around onions, a bag of onions, that mesh that comes from the grocery store. People have used that to cast on stitches, but this is way more efficient. And yes, so on the sock bonnet that came with my machine did not have a ring on the bottom, but you attach this buckle and then you attach the weights to it, and it pulls the stitches down into the cylinder. I attach a little ring onto the bottom, and then I hang my weights on there as well. So it's very, very practical, really good practice. Make lots of these. So that's what's on there. Now, because I've been sort of obsessed with knitting these socks and everything, I decided to do the skills test that is being offered by the Circular Sock Knitting Machine Society. So if you go to cskms.org, that's the Circular Sock Knitting Machine Society, they do these basically like tests like you would do for, say, like your GCW Master Weavers program or your HGA Certificate of Excellence sort of program. So the Circular Sock Knitting Machine folks are making a similar type of examination, I guess it is, test. And so part of this first skills level 1 sort of test is that you have to make 3 pairs of socks, 1 scarf, and 1 tension tube. So the other thing is that they want you to make it entirely in solid colored yarn. So I ordered a whole bunch of solid colored yarn, sock yarn, from the internet. And then I made my eye-searingly lime green tension tube. So this is a tension tube, shows all the different tensions that you can make on a machine. And then I made my first pair of socks, my stockinette socks. That's one. I have to make a mock rib sock, which is two. So those are my mock rib socks. Ta-da! And then I had to make these striped socks. Striped socks where you change colors on the backside of the leg. And I made these striped socks about 8 times. Actually, just this pair, I cranked 8 times to get this one pair of socks. These socks were my first set, and I thought that these were going to be great and they were going to be perfect, and everything was great and fine until I got to the toe, and then I wasn't paying attention or something, and I ended up wrapping one stitch 2 times. I went around it 2 times. And so when you do that, then it creates like a little bit of a blip on that toe, short row toe area. So these socks were not perfect, so I couldn't send those in. So I didn't have enough yarn to make the exact same kind of pair again. So I swapped the color arrangement and used the same 2 colors, but just swapped the position of them so that I could get the right amount of yarn out of them. And so I cranked one of the socks, and the first sock was great. I focused, everything was perfect. And then I went to go knit the second sock, and the second sock, I had so many problems because I don't know if I was like tired or maybe not paying attention or something like that. And so I got to, I don't know, I got to one point and then I missed something, so then I had to unravel it. And so because I had already cut and joined all of these different stripes of socks, I unraveled each section into a tiny little ball backwards till the beginning of the sock, and then cast on again and just took each of those tiny little chunks of yarn and knit them back into the sock again, doing it over and over and over again. I got to the point where I was like, oh, I'm knitting the foot. And then I stopped paying attention, and I was going to crank 65 rounds for the foot and ended up cranking 70. And then it's like, you can't undo a circular sock knitting machine project. So I had to take it all off. I manually unraveled 5 rounds. I thought I could hook them back onto the needles and then just continue on, but it just became this big super mess. I'd spent probably an hour like trying to rehang this foot back onto the machine. It was not great. And then finally I did. I managed to rehang the whole thing and then continue on with the toe. The toe was almost done, almost perfect. And then I looked up for a second, and when I looked down, I didn't notice that one of the latches of the needles had closed, and it dropped a stitch right on the short row section. And so I had to undo the whole sock again. And I was so mad. I put it down, I walked away, and then when I came back, I picked up the sock that was on the table and I unraveled it. And then when I got to the end, I realized I had unraveled the perfect sock. And then the messed up sock was still alive. And so then I had to unravel the second sock and then reknit both of them again from the tiny little scraps of yarn for each of these stripes. And so originally the idea was to do 10 rows of each color for the stripes. But in the end, because of tension, or maybe it was like because these balls were smaller, there was less pulling back on the yarn, so the tension was just slightly looser. And so therefore I was using just a tiny little bit more yarn for each of these rounds, so I couldn't get 10 rounds of knitting out of these little blips of yarn anymore. I could only get 9. And so all of these stripes are 9 rounds rather than 10. But I knit this pair of socks like 8 times to get them exactly right. But they are done now, and it was a really good practice. Yes. Yes, I know. I would have, I almost, I was like, yeah, sometimes you just need to put it away and then come back to it later. And then it's just all about practice and being calm and paying attention to what you're working on and having energy, right? Like having focus. So one of the things, one of the things that I absolutely love And I've loved this since I was a kid, because when I was in high school, I had wanted to become a fashion designer. And I spent a lot of time with this one particular book. It was a Vogue knitting book. No, actually not a Vogue knitting book. It was a Vogue magazine like book. So it was full of Vogue photography from all of the years. And it was like a coffee table book. It was huge, thick, massive book, but it was all full of these photos that were used in Vogue magazine. They were iconic photos from the 1950s, like the Dior New Look and all that kind of stuff. So all of that took me down this rabbit hole of looking up into like historical fashion, just like the bustle, how is that formed, just so many things. So I think I loved that when I was a kid, when I was in high school. And I think going back into the CSM stuff has really brought back a lot of that interest. And so part of these machines is that my machine happens to be a reproduction of a machine that's made in 1924. And so I like going back and looking at all of those machine manuals from that time. So this one is the Gerhardt knitting machine back in 1914. This manual is from 1914. And then later on, Gerhardt, the company, stopped operating, but then there was another company that kind of took over and continued making these machines, and that company was called Clearfield. And so Clearfield had another manual, and their manual was made in 1927. So these are some pages that were printed out from that 1927 manual. But I just want to read you some of the things in here from this Clearfield manual. One of them is like how to get started and what to knit. And their advice is the first thing needed is time, some time at least, which you can have of your own, uninterrupted. As told elsewhere, a knitting room is preferable to have where your knitting operations can be carried on without being molested. If a room cannot be secured, you should have at least 2 small tables. Ordinary kitchen tables are fine, but these tables should be kept expressly for knitting purposes and placed in such a location where they will remain indefinitely. I should read this to my husband because that is actually where my knitting machine lives at home. It's in our dining room. Yes. Yes. And then there's a page here of do's and don'ts. And some of these, are for specifically for the machine, but some of them are actually very helpful for anybody who's making any project. And so under their don'ts, it says, don't by any means skip or fail to use every command in every sentence in the instruction throughout this manual. Like read the manual and follow every word. It says every word of instruction written by the company is given for a definite purpose, and if any are missed, good success cannot be expected. And then it says, don't just half finish an article of knitting and then start some other kind of knitting. Stick to it until it's done. Rushing through detailed instructions without careful observance to tension and rounds of knitting will produce very poor results. So don't do it. Take your time. And then it says, don't become discouraged and don't allow others who are not familiar with the machine's operation to tell you how to do it. Stick to it yourself. You will get it. So I love these things because it's just great advice all around, but specific to these machines, but it's great advice all around. I love it. So yes, this class is going to come out in October, in celebration of Socktober, and it'll be the course about CSM and knitting socks. So yes, thank you for joining me down that whole rabbit hole. I love it. So let's talk about the next thing, which is what's coming next month. Next month is going to be Tour de Fleece. Next month, July, Tour de Fleece happens starting on July the 5th, is when the Tour de France starts. And so we spin very unofficially. We do a Tour de Fleece, unofficial sort of spin together. We use this time for Tour de Fleece to kind of look at, what can we do that's new that we've never tried before? What can we do that would be fun? How can we make sure that we get into a bit of a habit with spinning, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes a day, like whatever it is, however you want to do Tour de Fleece. Lots of people do it lots of different ways. And so I'm very excited that last Friday I had the chance to chat with Star Athena, which maybe many of you guys might know from our community, from our SOS community. She comes to many of our meetings and things like that. Star was actually the person who originated the idea of Tour de Fleece almost 20 years ago. And so we talked about that that inspiration, where it came from, and all of that kind of stuff, how the tour developed over all of these years. And we talked about that in the podcast recording. And so that's going to come out in a couple of weeks, also in celebration of Tour de Fleece as well. So I'm excited to share that. But if you guys are interested in preparing for Tour de Fleece and want to join us in sort of like a spin together, spin along, we're going to start in July, and we have a lot of our fiber on sale right now. So the fiber, hand-dyed fiber, is 15% off until June 17th, which I think is next week. So that's a link to all of the spinning fibers. Now, we did, yes, yes, Tour de Fleece has been going on for a long time, and it is starting soon. It has been going on for almost 20 years. I think it's 19 years ago this year. Yeah, and it's going to start in July. And so these colors that are on the page here, that is some of the color collaborations that we did with the spinning instructors from the School of SweetGeorgia. And so these are all sort of like their inspirations from photos of places. They are really, really all very, very different, beautiful, and unique. And so we're going to have some blog posts that are going to come out soon as well, showing what some of these colorways look like once they're spun up. So that is happening. Fibers on sale. Now, one thing I wanted to share with you is that this spring we came out with this set of colors. This is our spring summer palette. It's called Enlighten, and we also made them in the form of hexahues. So those are 6 mini skeins together, and so those colorways, sort of from top down, from the top to the bottom, they're called sea glass, hydrangea. This is sea glass. This is hydrangea. This is unicorn hair. This is slushy, cupcake, and popcorn. I love these colors. And so when Hoy was dyeing these colors for mini skeins and things like that, he decided to dye all of these colors in succession on some fiber. And it was it was like an experiment. It was a bit for fun, but we liked it so much that we decided to use it for our Tour de Fleece fiber colorway for 2025. Last year we did charolais, and this year we're doing Finnish wool. So it's a wool that maybe, like, we don't typically carry this wool, so we have a limited number available. We acquired a batch, and then we dyed it all with this continuous gradient technique, so that way you can spin yourself a gradient yarn. It's continuous yarn. And try that. So yeah, it's something new to play with, something new to try. So that is the colorway that we have for Tour de Fleece this year. It's called Butterfly Garden. Really, really excited about that. Yes, so we were asking, Freaky Geek is asking about these ones. We have them as full skeins. Each one of those colorways is available as a full skein, but this one happens to be a mini skein set that you can get. It's 6 mini skeins together. So these hexahues are kind of like our new party of fives. Our party of fives have always been 5 mini skeins, and now we have some that have 6 mini skeins, just so that we have a more well-rounded palette for some of these. Yeah, fantastic. There's Bridget answering in the comments. Thank you so much. So that is what's happening there. Now, the next thing that I have to sort of mention is that all of the meetings that we're going to do for Tour de Fleece, we're doing a kickoff meeting on July the 5th, and then we do another sort of like midway meeting, or is it the end meeting? I think it's a midway meeting. And they are going to be hosted on our new community platform, which is here. So you can see this is our platform for the new community that we are building. So you can find it at sweetgeorgiayarns.com/community. I know many of you guys who are here in the chat right now are already in the community and you're poking around, and it has been really, really great in there. This is our very, very ambitious plan to kind of create a community for a multi-craftual maker that just it just encompasses all of the different crafts that we're involved in and supports a lot of this making. And it's just a very encouraging space. And so lots of conversation has already been happening. A lot of connections are being made in this space already. We've only opened it for maybe 2 weeks now. It's been less than 2 weeks, but already there's tons of conversation in there. And I'm finding that like I'm getting to know many of the members who've been part of the SOS for years now. I'm like really starting to get to know them as people, which is wonderful. I think that that is the entire point of having this community. And I know we always stress when you go to the SOS forums, a lot of that is, for information, for education, for communicating back and forth with your instructor, for getting very directed help, assistance with whatever technical problems that you might be having with learning a particular skill or something like that. But this community space is a little bit more casual. It's a bit more conversational. It's very chatty, and actually less chatty than chat programs, but more conversational and less chatty, more casual. That's kind of the idea here. And so, yes, we're going to host the Tour de Fleece inside this community. We're going to also host the stranded sweater knit along. And we're hoping to use a lot more of the technology that's in here. So I'll just show you very quickly what that kind of looks like. So we have here, this is the inside of our community space right now. And we have all these make-alongs that we're listing that are going to be coming soon. So here is the Tour de Fleece one that starts July the 5th. And if you click on that, then it'll give you a little bit more information about what Tour de Fleece is, what the dates are, and when the meetups will be. And then, yes, you can just sort of participate through there. And so when the event happens, it will be over here, Tour de Fleece kickoff meeting, and it's going to be in what's called a live room. And a live room is basically the same as a Zoom room. So you log in, and then you'll be able to click on the link to join that meeting, and then you'll be able to see like the gallery of everybody's faces, and then chat about what you're going to be working on for Tour de Fleece. So that is a little bit of a preview into what is happening inside this community. But you can see like right now we're doing the live stream here. We have other events coming up. I'm going to be showing behind the scenes of filming the CSM course on Monday. So you can watch that as kind of like a fly on the wall if you're interested to see how we do things. And we have more events in here that I'm going to be talking about a little bit later on as well. So that is that. Yes, the flatbed knitting machine class also, yes, is going to be coming out in August, I believe is the date that we are planning for that to come out. I also just placed a batch order for the LK 150 knitting machine. So there are a bunch of machines coming to us. And they're going to arrive in Vancouver, I believe, in July. And so if you are interested in getting an LK 150 flatbed knitting machine, if you want to join along with a course or anything like that, please do head over to our shop to go find that LK 150 knitting machine. We have that coming as well. Yes, Freaky Geek. We have two different kinds of knitting machines. We have one that is flatbed back and forth to make flat panels, and one that is in a circle to make circular tubes that become socks. So yes, we have all of that stuff going on. So yeah, please do join us in the community. If you would like, there is a code right now to get 15% off the community if you're just buying just the community membership. Otherwise, if you are a member of the School of SweetGeorgia, this community membership is already included in your existing SOS membership. So there are instructions inside the School of SweetGeorgia to make your account in the community. Fantastic. Thank you. So the next thing that I wanted to mention is our podcast. So our podcast this is the 8th episode of our podcast that we have released. This 8th episode is with Lisa Graves of Kawartha Weaving and Weft magazine. If you know that brand new weaving magazine that's just come out, So I had a nice conversation with Lisa about that, and that is the latest episode. But yeah, we have done 8 episodes already, which is kind of crazy. And there are more planned because we have some that I recently recorded and they haven't gone live yet, but we have one with Amber and Vic Maza, who are starting their own mill. I think I mentioned this before, but they have acquired all of the spinning equipment from the Jaggerspun or Jagerspun spinning mills, the people who used to spin Zephyr yarn for, weavers, among other kinds of yarn. But Vic and Amber have acquired all of the spinning equipment from that mill, and they are going to start their own spinning mill. And so it's going to be very interesting to follow their entire story. But you can see we have here Lisa Graves as well from Weft Magazine and also Kawartha Weaving. And then also this past Friday, I interviewed Evie from Jillian Eve. Jillian Eve has a YouTube channel about spinning. She's so enthusiastic about spinning, but is also incredibly multi-craftual. So you'll see Evie do basically spinning and fiber prep, and I think she's like processing her own flax to make linen. She's doing a lot of linen spinning right now. She takes that yarn, she transforms it to fabric through weaving, and then she's making garments out of it. Like just the whole thing. So Evie was really, really great to chat with. And also I chatted with Star Athena, which we were talking about before, talking about the origin story of Tour de Fleece and where it came from and what was the thought process behind all of that as well. And we also had recent episodes with Celeste Angelo from The Cranky Spinster. She is a restorer of antique circular sock knitting machines, among many other things that she does. But one of the things she does is she restores circular sock knitting machines. And so all of that is coming. And then I also have a few more recording sessions planned with Britt Garber from Not Bad Brit. That's going to happen soon. And also Catherine from Tis and Feel, who she is going to be the new, sort of the new program director, I guess, for the Guild of Canadian Weavers Master Weaver program. So the Master Weaver test program. She's the new administrator for that program. So I'm going to chat with her about becoming a master weaver because she's working through that process as well. So if you're interested in any of these topics, I do encourage you guys to come and check out our podcast, and you can find it on our website and also at this link, the Buzzsprout link as well. And then you can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, basically everywhere that you find podcasts. I think we have distributed it to all the places, so you can find it all there. But these conversations have been really, really fun to have. So excited about that. Yes. The next thing we're going to talk about is every month when we do these, we do a colorway reveal for the Secret Stash colorway. And so we're going to talk about Secret Stash next. So Secret Stash is our project that we do at the studio, and it's something that we've been doing we did it for 9 years, I believe. And then we took a bit of a break, and then we came back to it last year and started doing it again. But the whole idea is like experimenting and coming up with new colorways and using colors to tell stories. And so it's been really, really fun to like talk about experiences or memories or things that we've been going through, and then to be able to transform that into colors that might represent that, or a color story. And so this month's color story is this one. So we do yarn every single month. We dye new yarn every single month. And then every quarter we do fiber. And so this month includes both yarn and fiber. So this colorway is called Lapis Lazuli. And the story, if you read the little insert that comes with the club, we can see this is a skein of the club here. I wound up to make into socks. This one has been dyed on mohair silk sock, so it's really, really lovely for making into socks. But yeah, this colorway is based on lapis lazuli, which is like it's kind of like a semi-precious stone that was used to, it was ground down to extract the color in order to make blue paint and blue pigment and things like that. So this particular colorway from a rock was ground down, made into paint, and used for, like, the girl with the pearl earring, that painting where she has that blue headband. That blue headband is painted with lapis lazuli. And my kids learned about lapis lazuli by watching, well, by playing Minecraft. And so I was kind of mildly inspired to think about this because my kids got us to go see the Minecraft movie that came out recently, and it was great. It was fun. It's a super 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 silly, very very silly movie, but I do like Jack Black. I'm a bit of a fan of Jack Black. And just having them watch the Minecraft movie, and then they were exposed to Jack Black for basically the first time, and then I was able to convince them to watch School of Rock with Jack Black, which is also really great. I love that movie. And so all of this came because of Minecraft. And so my kids learned about lapis lazuli by playing Minecraft, where you can extract colors and pigments from various sources, and then you can use them to dye things inside of Minecraft, which I think is also amazing. They also learn how to shear sheep inside Minecraft, learn how to dye wool. It's neat. I mean, it's just like little bits of exposure to cool things. So I love it. Yes, I love School of Rock, one of my favorite movies. So in any case, that's where this yarn color came from. Now, this particular yarn, Mohair Silk Sock, takes dye amazingly. So you can see the color is very rich. It's very deep, and it's very, very saturated and intense. And then we had picked a fiber that we wanted to dye for this month as well. And we tried to dye the same formula, but it was causing problems with it being like just too much dye for that particular fiber, because every fiber is different. Every fiber is going to absorb a little bit differently, behave a little bit differently, and also the fact that the fiber that we were trying to use for the spinning fiber was untreated. So it's not superwash treated or anything, and so it is always going to dye a little bit lighter. So we had to do multiple rounds of experiments with dyeing different recipes, and then having a sample spinner spin some of the fiber to test it out to see if it was going to work okay, and then go back and reiterate and dye more, and then test more and dye more and test more and all that kind of stuff. And so we came up with this particular colorway for the spinning fiber. So you can see I have it here as well. Oh, the color's not too bad on screen. So you can see they are quite different. One is quite a bit lighter than the other. But this is the ongoing, challenge. If you are a hand dyer, you're dyeing yarn, you're going to realize that dyeing with untreated wool is going to be less saturated. It is going to be lighter in general, because the yarn just doesn't dye the same. The fiber doesn't take the dye the same way. And so this is sort of what we came out from. So yes, so that's where some of the secret stash comes from. Yes, we do a ton of testing for the secret stash. You should see, like in our studio, Hoy's desk is covered with, basically there's a mountain of yarn samples and dyed samples that we go through and we look through, we talk about. There's multiple samples for each month. And some of those samples, you guys will find out, they end up coming out during our mystery bag sale. You might find skeins that are unique and beautiful and very, very different, because a lot of these are experiments. We do a lot of experimenting, and it is super, super fun. So this is the fiber. This one happens to be dyed on our Polworth and silk fiber. It's beautiful, beautifully soft fiber. So this is one of the things that you can get. And then this is the yarn. So they are different. And so I couldn't call this lighter fiber, I couldn't call that lapis lazuli, because it just doesn't look like it anymore. Lapis is very intense, very saturated cobalt blue. So this one is called Crystal Shard, which is also a Minecraft reference. So there you go. Now I have a ball of this that I'm going to make into socks, but we also have a sample of the mohair silk sock that has been knit into a lace shawl. So let's look at that here. Ta-da! This is a beautiful little shawlette here. And you can see it's called Sheaves. This is one that we published a while back. This is designed by Meg Roke. Meg Roke, that you can find on Instagram. She designs beautiful things. But the Sheaves shawl, we initially did, I believe it was in flax and silk fine. And I remember this was a while ago because we shot the photos at the Cranky Cafe on 4th Avenue near Main Street. And that was a long time ago when we were there. But this shawl pattern is beautiful. And you can see it's really has this beautiful detailing here. They're not eyelets because they have like a little bit of a crossbar on them, so they almost look like cables and lace at the same time. It's really, really lovely. So that is a lovely way to use up your skein. The color distributes really beautifully, like the hand-dyed look distributes really well. And this is just like a nice, beautiful project for like a spring, summer shawl. You know, you just need a light thing to go over instead of a cardigan. This is like a nice thing to have. Anyways, this is the Sheaves. So this one's made with mohair silk sock. I've made one before with flax and silk fine. That works as well if you're in sort of like a hotter climate. You can make it with any sock yarn, any fingering weight yarn. This is a beautiful pattern for that. So that is that. So as we mention always, the Secret Stash is available to sign up until the 15th of the month. So in order to get the July shipment, you'd have to sign up by June 15th. And as always, we'll make like a few extras of everything every month, so that in case you like decide that you really, really like this color and you need 2 skeins, you can always come back and get another skein. So we always have that available as well. And so with those extras that we have, you can buy the individual skeins after the fact. If you're not necessarily subscribed to the club, you can just buy them as one off after they've been released. But yes, you have to be in the club to get sort of like the best pricing, and then to get them before they are revealed. It's part of this. It's part of the fun. It's that they're secret, and that you get them as a bit of a surprise. They show up at your door, and then you don't know what's going to be inside the box. And then hopefully there's something fun to play with, something that might push you out of your comfort zone. So we have a couple of previous Secret Stash month yarns that are going to be retired. So December we did Hug and a Mug. So that fiber for Hug and a Mug was here, and then the yarn was here. It's really lovely. I should get a skein before it's gone, actually. And then this one is January's Future Dusk. I also have that on a cone. I have to make that as well. That one is in Trifecta Fine. I love that one. And then February was Brown Sugar Pearls, which was a single sock blank. So Tough Love sock knit into a single sock blank. And so these 4 are going to be available until the end of June. So you can find those on the shop site there. Yes. Fantastic. Now, that is, yes, so that is Yarn Club. That's Fiber Club and Yarn Club. So you can sign up for the next July Yarn Club by this Sunday, June 15th. Fantastic. Good. I'm always very curious to see what people are making um, with their secret stash. And so one of the things that we are doing is I'm trying to make a space for that in the community as well. So I've made this area called the Secret Stash Club. And so we are posting the colorways that come out every month. And so the hope is that then we can sort of build up a bit of a gallery or a collection of the things that people are making with each one of their projects. So if you have made something with your secret stash and you've joined the community, you can come in here and then leave a comment posting, you know, what you've made. So I think that that would be really, really fun to do as well. Esperanza is asking, where would we find the circular sock machine? The circular sock machine that I'm using is from a company called Erlbacher Knitting Machines. And then the course that we're going to be teaching is going to come out on the School of SweetGeorgia. So that's schoolofsweetgeorgia.com. Fantastic. So that is where you're going to find all of the secret stash stuff. Fantastic. Now we are just going to move on to talk about the Stranded Colorworks sweater. But before we do that, I am going to mention, oh wait, before I go on, because it's here. This also comes in the box with your secret stash for this month. This one is called Cozy Cakes. It's a yarn cozy. So basically this goes around your yarn ball so that the yarn ball doesn't all fall apart. But we made it so it was like thematically related. And so the original color inspiration was Cosmic Cobalt. It was supposed to be like this cosmic blue with hits of gold and things like that. And so Teresa found these little yarn cozies from Bink Waffle. We've been fans of Bink Waffle for a long time. So Bink Waffle makes these cute little yarn cozies. And so this will come in your secret stash as well. But like Esperanza was saying, if you purchase the yarn without the club, then you don't get the fun things that go inside the box. But if you buy it as part of the club, then you get all the things together. So that is that part. Yeah, it is the same color. Now, I have one more thing on my desk that I wanted to show you before we move on to other things. And this is basically that for Tour de Fleece, like I mentioned, you know, you can choose any sort of different challenge that you want for Tour de Fleece. You can choose to spin our Tour de Fleece color. Maybe you want to do that. Maybe you want to spin a fiber that is new to you. This is Finnish wool. That might be new to you. Maybe you want to spin something that you've had in your stash for a long time and you really just want to get rid of it. Maybe you want to spin a sweater quantity, or maybe you want to spin a specific yarn structure that you haven't tried before. So I know for myself that there's two challenges that are in front of me that I want to do for spinning, at least two. One of them is that I have a Cotswold fleece from years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, where I bought it from a lady in Pender Island, and she had already washed the fiber. The fiber is ready to go. It's all like beautiful and curly, and it's in lock form and everything. It's all been washed. It just needs to be sort of opened up and then spun. And so one of the challenges that I have for myself for Tour de Fleece is to take all of that Cotswold fiber, use a lock pop, and pop it open, and then spin that for Tour de Fleece. And I even have a brand new e-spinner waiting for me at home. It's still in the box. It's from Daedalus. It's going to be amazing, but I cannot open it yet. I cannot open it yet until I finish all of the CSM stuff. So I have to finish filming the CSM course and finish all the stuff for that before I will allow myself to open the box for this new e-spinner from Daedalus. But that is all coming soon. The other challenge that I have is that recently Kim McKenna released a course on our School of SweetGeorgia, and it's about spinning with bast fibers. And so this thing that is in the box here, this is the bast fiber spinning kit. And so we did a pre-order for these in February, I believe, and then we sold out of those, and there was more requests for them. And so we created a new batch. But basically inside the box, you get these 4 different fibers. So we have here a package of hemp. There is 40 grams of 100% hemp. There's 40 grams of Rami here. There is 40 grams of Himalayan nettle fiber. So that's that. And we have 40 grams of bleached toe flax. Okay, so these are bast fibers that I have never, ever spun with. Like, I've never touched any of these. Well, no, Rami I have. But I've never spun with hemp. I've never spun nettle or even flax. I've never spun flax either. So this is a bit of a challenge for me. Whether I do it now or I do it in a few months, this is something that I'm going to have to learn to do because it looks really interesting. And if you see the course from Kim McKenna and the skeins that she's created, she blended like 20% of this fiber together with some Corriedale and just made the most beautiful skeins. So I'm very intrigued. I want to give that a try. And so with this new set of bast fiber spinning kits, we have some left available in the shop. Anita said that we would have some. We just have to make sure that everybody who ordered them is going to get them. And then I believe there's like a few extras. So yes, yes, I will blend these. I wouldn't necessarily, I might spin a little bit of it straight just to see what it feels like. But I think that for the most part, they would feel nicest once you blend them together with other things. Yes. So that is all the fiber stuff. So let's talk about, yeah, thank you, Greta. Greta's posted the link to the Spinning Bast Fibres course. And then we also have the kit available as well. And I think that we'd like to sort of do that a little bit as a group. And we'll talk about it in the community as well. Anybody who is making stuff with their bast fiber kits, please share what you have created because I think it's a bit of an exploration for all of us. Now, I want to mention what is next after Tour de Fleece. In August, we're going to do a sweater knit along in the community. And so we're going to work on the stranded colorwork sweater. Either this one that is the Oh Dearie Me, that is this sweater. This one fits me perfectly. Actually, it fits everybody at the studio. I think it's been like Hoy's worn it. I think Greta's worn it. Like I think it fits many of us very, very well. But it's a beautiful, beautiful sweater. This is Caitlin Shepherd's design. It's called Oh Dearie Me. This is coming out. And so this is one of the stranded colorwork options. The other stranded colorwork option is this one. This is, oh, look at my text reflowed. This is the other option, is the Falling Leaves sweater by Andrea Rangel. And so we are going to kind of decide, well, you can decide between which sweater you'd like to make, but we're doing the sweater knit along. And so you can find that sweater knit along, the information about it here. Bridget is making that page for all of us. It's not necessarily one size fits all. Of course, you can change the size, and there's different sizes for this. Also depends on how you'd like your sweater to fit and everything. But the sweater is here. And then you can find the course for this sweater here. Part of this is also partly a design course. So you can also, adjust the pattern as needed. You can change the motifs on the yoke if you like. You can change all the colors if you like. And so that is something that we are going to be working through in the community. So I'm going to run a little bit of a color picking session. And so that will be hosted inside the community, but you can't see it because these links are not working. So I'll send you guys a link for this, but it's basically inside the community. There is an event that is going to be called the studio session here. Let me see, I can put it right here. It's this one, the studio session, where we're going to pick colors for color work. And so we're going to do sort of like a live stream, I guess, where I'll sit and I'll show you some of the colors that we picked for the sweater, some different options that we came up with. And also we'll look at using the Zoli color deck that is made by Just Yarn's sister company, Zoli. So they have a color deck where you can use that to inspire color combinations. And then we also have a color deck where we can use sort of mix and match colors to make different color combinations. And then we also have a number of swatches that we have knit to show the potential different color combinations. So that is going to come out next Friday. We're going to do that inside the community at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so you can find that as well. Hope you guys will join us, and we're just going to play with color and make some palettes and see what comes out of that. And then hopefully it might inspire your own sweater. So that sweater will start August 1st for the sweater knit along. Okay. And the last two things are that if you are in Vancouver, tomorrow is Knit in Public Day, wherever you are, actually. It's worldwide Knit in Public Day on June 14th, Saturday, June 14th. And so for our worldwide Knit in Public Day at the studio, we are going to, hopefully it will be nice weather. It's a little bit cooler now. But hopefully it'll be nice weather, and hoping to have everybody be able to set up some chairs outside and hang out and sit outside with their knitting and things like that outside the studio. But you're welcome to come and visit us in Vancouver at the studio on that Saturday. And I believe Charlotte will be there to hang out. I believe Deb might be there to hang out. I think Hoy will be there as well. So yeah, it will be great to see you. And I'm going to try and come by as well before the whole thing ends. I have my kids with me in the morning doing lots of activities, and I'm hoping to see people at the studio as well tomorrow. So that is happening. Now, the last thing that I wanted to mention before we go today is just wanted to share a new design that was created by Tanya of Nerdy Knitting. You can find Tanya on YouTube. She has a YouTube channel that's called Nerdy Knitting. And on that YouTube channel, she actually goes through with a tutorial teaching you how to knit this summer tee that she's designed using our yarn. So she used SweetGeorgia Flax and Silk Fine for her t-shirt design. The tee is called Simplicity. And yes, it is really, really lovely. She says it's very simple. I mean, it's called Simplicity. It's very simple because it's like two flat panels, and then you seam them on the sides and on the tops, on the shoulders, and then it's basically done. But she's got some interesting textures in there that she can also work through. But there's a tutorial video where she walks through the entire process of making this summer tee, right from the cast on, and you watch her finish the whole thing. So she must have filmed it over a period of time. Otherwise, she's a super fast knitter. But yeah, it looks fantastic, and tee looks like it fits beautifully. So you can find more information about that. It's tanyaknits.com/simplicity. And again, you can find her on YouTube at Nerdy Knitting. And there's lots of videos there to go down that rabbit hole as well. So thank you so much to Tanya for using our yarn for your project, and excited to share that with everybody. Finally, this is where you can find us if you need to reach us in Vancouver. We are here at East Kent Avenue South, and then these are all of our websites. You can find us at SweetGeorgiaYarns.com. Is all of our blog posts and all of our content, and then shop.SweetGeorgiaYarns.com is where you will find our online store. And then the School of SweetGeorgia is where you find all the courses. And finally, we have a new one that we need to add to this list, and it will be community.sweetgeorgiayarns.com is where our new community is being built. And so hopefully you will come and find us in some of those places. Yes, we are very excited to start growing this community, and it's been great just being able to have a few conversations with people who are in there who love all of these different crafts, but also have a lot of other interests outside of these crafts too that are also very interesting. So it has been wonderful. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. It's been great to see you in the chat and trying to follow along while I'm talking at the same time. It's been really, really nice. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you next month. All right, bye for now.